It's not looks or charm that make a woman fall in love. It's your energy, the way you move, the calm in your presence, the purpose in your actions. When you master yourself, you naturally attract her heart. These are the 5 powerful acts that make a woman fall madly in love with you. There is nothing more magnetic, more intoxicating, and more powerful to a woman than a man who is in control of himself. Not in control of her, but of his own emotions. Because emotional control is not about being cold. It's about being centered. It's about being the calm in the storm. When everything around you feels chaotic, when emotions rise, when anger or insecurity tries to take over. A man with emotional control doesn't react. He responds. He pauses, he observes, and he decides from strength, not weakness. That kind of energy instantly separates him from every other man she's known because it communicates one powerful truth: he cannot be shaken. Women are emotional beings by nature. They move through feelings, moods, and sensitivities. And when a woman meets a man who can hold his ground in that emotional landscape, she feels something she can't explain: safety. She doesn't fall for his looks, his words, or his charm. She falls for his stability. She falls for the feeling that no matter what happens, he won't crumble. Because deep down, every woman craves a man who can remain solid when she is soft, who can stay rational when she is emotional, who can stay gentle even when she tests his patience. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means mastering them. It means you feel anger, but don't let it control your tone. You feel disappointment, but don't let it dictate your energy. You feel love deeply, but don't let it make you weak. That's the quiet strength women can sense immediately, even without words. Think about it. When you lose control, when you react out of ego, jealousy, or frustration, you hand over your power. You become predictable, easy to manipulate, easy to trigger. And the moment you become emotionally predictable, attraction fades. Because mystery and power live in restraint. A man who doesn't need to prove himself, who doesn't fight for validation, who doesn't explain every move he makes. He radiates a kind of confidence that no status or money can buy. Emotional control makes you appear composed, but it also makes you feel free. Free from needing to be understood all the time. Free from the chaos of other people's emotions. Free from the constant urge to win arguments or to prove you're right. A woman can sense when a man has that inner peace. It's in his silence, in the way he handles conflict, in the way he listens without being defensive. When she tries to provoke or test him, and she will, not out of malice but instinct, she's not trying to destroy his peace. She's trying to measure his strength. She wants to know, can I trust his energy when life gets difficult? If you lose your cool, she loses her respect. But if you stay calm, composed, and grounded, she feels an unshakable trust in you, a feeling that tells her, this man can handle me, handle life, handle anything. Emotional control doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you powerful. Because when you control your emotions, you control your reality. You stop reacting to circumstances and start creating outcomes. And that power is what women subconsciously crave. A man who leads not with dominance, but with discipline. A man who can walk away from drama, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. A man who can speak softly but still command attention. That's the kind of presence that makes a woman fall, not just in love with you, but in awe of you. There is something profoundly attractive about a man who wakes up every morning with a sense of direction. A man who is building something, not for validation, not for attention, but because he knows deep down that his life has meaning. A purpose-driven man doesn't chase people. He chases progress. He doesn't waste his energy on convincing others to believe in him because his focus, his discipline, and his quiet determination speak louder than any words ever could. A man who has purpose radiates a kind of energy that commands respect without asking for it. He moves with clarity, and that clarity becomes magnetic. Women are drawn to that fire, not because they want to control it, but because they want to be close to it, to feel inspired by it, to feel protected by it. When a man has no purpose, he drifts. His mood changes with his circumstances. His energy depends on who validates him, who texts him, who stays, or who leaves. But when a man has found his mission, his world stops revolving around temporary emotions or external approval. He becomes anchored. His value doesn't fluctuate with the opinions of others. He is steady because his direction comes from within, not from what the world expects of him. That's the difference between men who impress for a moment and men who inspire for a lifetime. Women feel that difference instantly. They sense it in how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you spend your time. A man with purpose isn't desperate for attention. He's busy creating something worth being noticed for. A purpose-driven man has boundaries that are built on vision. He knows what aligns with his path and what distracts from it. He doesn't chase after meaningless relationships or indulge in every temptation that comes his way. He values his energy because he knows where it needs to go. That self-control, that unwavering sense of direction, communicates to a woman that he is reliable. Not because he's perfect, but because he's consistent. She falls for that steadiness. She falls for the way he prioritizes growth over comfort, work over excuses, and vision over validation. In a world full of distractions, he becomes rare, and rarity creates attraction. Women fall deeply in love with men who make them feel like they are part of something bigger. A man with purpose invites her into a journey, not just a relationship. When she sees how you move with intention, how you dream with clarity, how you stay committed even when things get difficult, she can't help but respect you. Because a purpose-driven man is not emotionally needy. He's not easily swayed by emotions, opinions, or setbacks. He keeps going. And that kind of resilience doesn't just build success, it builds admiration. A woman feels emotionally safe with a man who knows his why because she knows he won't crumble when life tests him. When your purpose leads your life, everything else aligns naturally. You stop seeking validation from love, and instead, love becomes an addition to your purpose, not a replacement for it. You stop competing with other men because you are focused on your lane, your mission, your goals. And that single-minded focus makes you magnetic. You start to embody a kind of peace that can't be faked. You become the man who doesn't talk about greatness. You live it. You don't tell people to believe in you. They simply do, because they can feel it. And that silent power, that focused drive, that unstoppable commitment to something beyond yourself, that's what makes a woman not only fall in love with you, but believe in you on a level she can't explain. There's a profound difference between being possessive and being protective, and a woman can feel that difference in an instant. Possessiveness comes from fear, the fear of losing, the fear of not being enough, the fear of someone else taking what you value. But protective energy comes from strength. The strength of knowing your worth, of knowing you can care for someone without controlling them. A woman doesn't want to feel owned. She wants to feel safe. She doesn't want to be caged. She wants to be cherished. And when she meets a man who carries a calm, protective energy, one that makes her feel secure without feeling restricted, she naturally softens around him. Her guard drops, her walls come down, and her femininity flows freely because she senses she's safe in his presence. Protective energy isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself or dominate the room. It's quiet, observant, and aware. It's in the way you stand beside her when she feels uncomfortable, in the way your tone shifts when you sense disrespect, in the way you handle situations without needing to prove a point. Protection doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes it means simply being there, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. A man with protective energy doesn't let his woman fight battles alone, but he also doesn't smother her. He trusts her independence but remains ready to step in when needed. That balance is powerful because it tells her she's valued, not owned. She knows she can rely on him, not because he demands control, but because he provides stability. When a man is possessive, everything becomes about control, checking where she's going, who she's talking to, what she's posting. That's not love. That's insecurity disguised as passion. And women feel suffocated under that energy because it comes from weakness, not strength. But protective energy is rooted in self-confidence. It says, I know my value, I know who I am, I don't need to control you to feel secure. That kind of masculine presence creates a deep emotional bond because she knows your intentions aren't rooted in fear. You protect not out of ownership, but out of care. You watch over her peace, not her phone. You defend her name, not your ego. You give her freedom, but within that freedom, she chooses you again and again because she feels emotionally safe. A protective man also protects her from his own darkness. He doesn't take out his frustrations on her. He doesn't make her responsible for his pain. He controls his anger, his impulses, his reactions, because he understands that protecting her doesn't only mean shielding her from the world, but also from the chaos within himself. That's where true masculine strength lies, in emotional restraint, in the ability to stay calm when everything inside you is burning, in the discipline to lead with gentleness instead of aggression. A woman can feel that. She can sense when a man's presence is a safe place for her emotions, not a battlefield for his. Protective energy gives her the freedom to be soft. It allows her to open up without fear of judgment, to express without walking on eggshells. She knows that in your presence she can be vulnerable and still be respected. That emotional safety is what deepens connection, because when a woman feels safe, she loves differently, with trust, with depth, with loyalty. And that safety doesn't come from dominance or control. It comes from consistency, from reliability, from strength that doesn't need to shout. True protection is an aura, an energy that says, "You're safe here." It's in your eyes, your actions, your silence. It's in the way you carry yourself with quiet confidence, never needing to remind her of your power because she feels it in the peace you bring. A woman doesn't fall in love with promises. She falls in love with patterns. Because consistency is the most honest form of communication. It tells her who you are without you ever needing to say it. In a world full of empty words and temporary intentions, a man who shows up every time in every situation becomes unforgettable. Consistency builds trust, and trust builds love. You don't earn a woman's heart by being perfect. You earn it by being reliable, by doing what you say you'll do, not once, but repeatedly, by showing her that your actions match your words, that your energy remains the same even when the circumstances change. That's when she starts to feel something real, because your stability becomes her safety. A consistent man doesn't just say, "I care." He demonstrates it through his presence, his effort, and his discipline. It's not about grand gestures. It's about the small, everyday choices that show you mean what you say. When you tell her you'll call, and you do. When you promise to listen, and you actually listen. When you say you're working on yourself, and she can see the growth. That reliability is rare, and rarity is magnetic. Most people show intensity at the beginning and disappear when it's no longer convenient. But the man who stays consistent even when no one is watching, who keeps showing up even when it's not easy, communicates a level of integrity that words could never replace. A woman can sense that energy immediately, because consistency isn't something you perform, it's something you are. Consistency is also emotional discipline. It's not only about doing the same things, but being the same man through different seasons. Your mood doesn't dictate your respect. Your emotions don't dictate your effort. Whether life is calm or chaotic, you remain grounded. That's what creates emotional security, the understanding that she can count on your character, not just your charm. Because any man can be kind when things are easy, but only a man of depth can remain kind when things are hard. She falls in love with that steadiness, that quiet reliability that doesn't need to be reminded to show up. When she feels that kind of consistency, her defenses melt away because she knows you won't vanish when it's inconvenient or withdraw when things get complicated. The most attractive men are not the loudest ones. They're the ones whose lives speak for them. You don't need to keep convincing her of your loyalty or intentions when your actions speak that truth every day. That's the silent proof. It's the way you show patience when she's emotional, the way you follow through on commitments, the way you stay aligned with your values, even when no one would notice if you didn't. Consistency reveals a man's true strength because it requires discipline, maturity, and self-control. It means choosing effort over excuses and integrity over impulse. It's not glamorous, it's quiet, repetitive, and unshakable. And that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Women don't fall for perfection. They fall for predictability in your goodness. They fall for the comfort of knowing who you are today is who you'll be tomorrow. Consistency creates a foundation where trust can grow effortlessly. It gives her peace. Not because you never make mistakes, but because she knows you'll always make things right. In a world full of temporary attention and conditional love, a consistent man stands out like a lighthouse, steady, dependable, and unwavering. And that silent proof, the one that doesn't need to be explained or proven, becomes the language through which love truly deepens. In a world where everyone is distracted, where conversations are shallow, and people scroll through moments instead of living them, presence has become rare, and that rarity is powerful. When a man is truly present, he gives something far greater than words. He gives his energy. Presence isn't just about being physically there. It's about being emotionally and mentally engaged in the moment. It's when you look at her and actually see her, not just her face, but her emotions, her silence, her energy. A woman can instantly feel the difference between a man who listens to reply and a man who listens to understand. That quiet attention makes her feel visible in a way she rarely experiences, and that feeling is intoxicating. She starts to open up, to trust, to connect, because presence creates safety, the kind that can't be faked or forced. When a man gives a woman his full attention, he gives her validation without words. He's not checking his phone while she talks. He's not halfway in the moment. He's fully there. His body language calm, his eyes steady, his energy grounded. That level of focus tells her that she matters. It tells her that in a world full of noise, she has your undivided awareness. And that's what melts her heart. Because women don't fall for attention that's loud or fleeting. They fall for attention that feels real. They fall for the way your presence makes them feel understood, valued, and emotionally safe. That's when she feels like she can be herself. Not the filtered version, not the guarded one, but her raw, authentic self. Presence is a silent display of strength because it requires control over your impulses. It's easy to drift, to think about what you'll say next, to focus on what you want from the moment. But being present means surrendering your need to control and simply being there. It means listening without interrupting, observing without judging, and responding with intention. That stillness is what makes a man stand out. In a time when most men chase attention, the one who gives it becomes unforgettable. Presence communicates depth, maturity, and confidence. It shows that you're not seeking to impress. You're simply connected. That's what pulls her closer, because she can feel your authenticity in the way you look at her, in the patience of your silence, in the calm rhythm of your energy. Attention is more than words. It's how you notice the little things, the way her tone changes when she's tired, the way her eyes avoid yours when something's bothering her, the subtle shifts in her energy that others overlook. When you pay attention to those details, you tell her without saying it that she's not invisible. And women fall deeply for the man who makes them feel seen. Not for their beauty, not for their body, but for their being. That's what true masculine presence does. It makes her feel emotionally acknowledged. Because love isn't about how much you say you care. It's about how deeply you see the person in front of you. A man with presence doesn't need to dominate the moment. His calm energy already fills it. He's not rushing to prove his intelligence or charm. His quiet awareness speaks for itself. That kind of presence gives a woman space to breathe, to express, to feel safe enough to unfold her layers without fear of being dismissed or misunderstood. It's not about flattery or constant words of affirmation. It's about genuine connection, the kind that doesn't need validation or performance. When you give your full attention, you create intimacy that no amount of charm or material success can replicate. Because in that moment, she feels the most human emotion of all, to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. And that's when she begins to fall, not just for what you say, but for how your presence makes her feel.